está en la pantalla y va a estar en muchas diapositivas. Muchísimas gracias y nos da mucho gusto que estén aquí con nosotros acompañándonos.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our kindergarten Parent Information Night. Before we get started, I would like to introduce Ms. Jake Finch, our Public Information Officer, to provide us with an overview of the webinar format, including the use of the question and answers.
Thank you, Mrs. Taggart. Good evening. I am so excited by how many people are joining us tonight. This is awesome. The meeting tonight on Zoom is not a meeting format. It is a webinar format. So a couple of things you need to know about that. The first is that this is being recorded and it will be added to the website in the next couple of days. So that way, if you need to refer to it, you can. The next thing to know is that because it's a webinar format, we cannot see and we cannot hear you. You are only a name on a screen for us right now, which means that if you have kids running around in the background or the TV's too loud, it's not a problem for us. So don't worry about it. You are pretty much anonymous except for your name. The other thing you need to know is that we've got a set presentation, but we will have plenty of time at the end for questions and answers. If you look at your screen, you should have two different functions, one that says raise hand and the other says Q&A. We are not using the raise hand feature. We are using the Q&A feature. So you can type questions into that and then we'll start going through them throughout the presentation and at the end when we need to do all the questions. Sometimes I will answer your questions directly because it's a quick answer and I can move you along and get to the next one. But other times I may hold them till the end of the presentation. Most of the information probably will come from the presentation. So I, again, just want to thank you all for being here and I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Taggart.
All right. Thank you. As Ms. Finch said, my name is Erin Taggart. I'm the Director of Elementary Education. And again, I'd like to welcome you to our Kindergarten Parent Information Night. We're glad that you have joined us this evening to learn more about our kindergarten program. If you're attending your first ever parent night with us, we're excited to also welcome you to our Simi Valley Unified Schools and family. Before we begin the presentation, I would like to introduce to you our special guests and panelists joining us this evening. Dr. Jerry Block is our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. We have two of our elementary school principals. Jennifer Conway is the principal at Wood Ranch Elementary, and Heather Godfrey is the principal of Hollow Hills Elementary. In addition, we have our interpreters, as you heard, Ms. Camacho and Ms. Carrion, who will be helping us this evening. So just a little overview of our evening and our presentation for today. We are going to talk a little bit about an overview of our CME schools. We are going to share what is kindergarten, what does that look like for our youngest learners. We'll talk about eligibility and enrollment, which includes our neighborhood schools and our school of choice. And then we will cover a few additional information at the end, as well as try to cover the questions throughout the presentation. We have tried to capture the most commonly asked questions in our presentation. So we hope that we are able to answer those as we progress throughout the evening. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Dr. Block to welcome you to our presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Taggart. Good evening, everybody. It is so great to see so many of you are joining us this evening. We know that your children are your most precious gift, and we are so honored and humbled that you are considering entrusting your children with us. We're very proud of the kindergarten program that we have and the opportunities it provides our children. And we hope that it will instill a love of learning and prepare your child to begin a lifetime of learning and set them up for a future of success. Our schools are very much focused on experiential learning, helping our students really discover that passion. We believe that all students are able to succeed, and it's really our mission to help students become the very best potential versions of themselves. And so we look forward to partnering with you in the days and weeks to come. And I know that working together, the kids will accomplish great things. And here's a video clip from our superintendent.
At the Simi Valley Unified School District, we like to say, from here to anywhere. But it's more than just a catchy phrase. It's a pledge to support students with college, career, and life. It's a pledge that starts on day one and carries through at every stage and on every stage of our students' journey with us. It's a pledge that commits us to feeding our students' curiosity in the classroom and to finding healthy ways to fuel their explorations. A pledge to give our students the tech they need to get ahead, and to give our teachers cutting-edge tools to stay ahead. Our pledge is also a promise to prepare students to take the next big step in their educational journey, and to take the smaller daily steps in their journey through life. And it's a pledge to include all students in the journey, no matter how far along they are. Finally, the pledge our staff makes is also made by you. Because to feel connected to their schools, students need to feel connected to their community too. All of us in the Simi Valley Unified School District pledge to support all students in becoming the best potential version of themselves so that they can go from here to anywhere. Ready to go? Yeah! At the Simi Valley
Right. As Dr. Block shared with you, this is our district and our promise. You saw many of these important points already pointed out in our commercial, looking at our rigorous academics, high expectations, exceptional instruction, differentiation for our students, opportunities, and participation. All highlight really what we strive for in our Simi Valley schools. We know we have a wonderful staff in the classroom at our campuses throughout the district office that helps support our students and our families, and we are very proud of that. Before I go any further, I just want to invite Ms. Camacho again to just share the bridge line for anybody who joined us just a little bit later.
Hello, thank you very much, Ms. Taggart. Buenas noches, bienvenidos a todos. Estaremos mi colega Ivonne Carrión y yo proporcionando interpretación simultánea a través de la línea puente. Por favor, marquen al 805-306-4500, extensión 4298 y después la contraseña 2258. Les pedimos que al entrar a la línea puente pongan sus teléfonos en silencio para que todos los asistentes puedan escuchar a las intérpretes. Si tienen preguntas, pueden escribirlas en la sección de preguntas y respuestas en la parte inferior de la pantalla. Estaremos monitoreando la sección y podremos responder a sus preguntas o interpretarlas a los panelistas. Gracias. Thank you very much, Ms. Taggart.
Thank you. And as you can see on the screen, we are the third largest public school district. We do have 28 schools, 18 elementaries, 3 middle schools, 3 comprehensive high schools, a continuation high school. We have an independent study that is K through 12, an adult school, and a preschool. We have a little over 16,000 students this year. One of our biggest growth this year is our UTK, which stands for Universal Transitional Kindergarten. This last year, as we came into the current year, we expanded our program, opening up the window for those age-eligible students. And so this year we have about 550 Universal Transitional Kindergarten students, which is a wonderful opportunity for our youngest learners, and it pairs and rolls right over nicely into kindergarten. So we want to start by sharing with you a little bit about kindergarten, the requirements of kindergarten, but also what the day looks like for our kindergarten students and what it is that they have in their classrooms and some of our focus that in our kindergarten programs. So starting with our eligibility, our kindergarten is open to children born on or before September 1st, 2018. That means they will be 5 on or before September 1st. This is a guideline of the CDE that we follow, and so that is our cutoff. Any student turning 5 after that date, we invite to participate in our UTK program. We do have a full day program for kindergarten at each of our 18 elementary schools. We also have a kindergarten program at Monte Vista, our independent study school. Our curriculum is the same curriculum based on the California state standards, and it is a board adopted curriculum that is at each of our elementary schools. Each of the teachers are provided that same curriculum at any of our elementary schools. We're going to talk about this more as we go into the enrollment process, but just to give you the front loading, if you're enrolling your child at a neighborhood school, and those are the boundary maps that can be found on our website, you are able to start to submit those enrollment forms on March 1st. If you're considering school of choice, which means you would be going to a school other than your home school, then there is an online application. The application is live now and will be open until February 28th. There is no rush to complete it. It is not a first come, first serve. You do have throughout the month of February. And the reason it is open throughout the month of February, which we'll talk about momentarily, is we do offer tours, we do offer parent nights at each of our elementary schools for you to find the elementary school that best fits your child's needs. Again, we have exceptional programs. Many of our students enroll at their neighborhood school, and we encourage you to go. We'll talk about tours, the parent nights, and giving you opportunities to find the school for your child. At this time, I would like to introduce Ms. Conway, who will be sharing with us a little bit about a kindergarten day.
Hi, good evening. I'm excited to be here and just share a little bit about our kindergarten program district-wide. It will look a little different site to site, but I'm going to share with you just what a generic kindergarten program looks like here and the things that we want our students to learn and grow. So our programs are very engaging. We have a hands-on approach to learning. We do focus on the whole child. We work really hard to support our students' social, emotional needs and their academic growth. We do understand that all of our students are unique and they all enter kindergarten with various skills and experiences. Our teachers work really hard to create learning environments where all students' needs are met, both socially and academically. Many of our teachers use a centers approach to learning. This allows our students the opportunity to develop independence. It teaches them responsibility for their own learning. Our centers really enrich the academic and social aspects of their day. Our programs help our students develop social skills. They learn about sharing, how to cooperatively work with others. The centers approach also develops their communication skills with their peers and their teachers. They learn about problem solving and how to work together as a classroom community. Our programs really emphasize the foundations in learning. So your students will be getting a lot of foundations in reading, mathematics, science, and social studies, and those will all be integrated into the different activities that they do through the day. We encourage our students to explore new things, to observe, ask questions, and build those independence and problem-solving skills. So like Dr. Block said, we really want our students to love learning and to love school, and our programs really are designed for that. We do have technology in our classroom. Each class has Chromebooks. They are kept in the classroom, so students have an opportunity to do different things with technology. We do have a balance of technology and also play-based learning. But you can kind of see from some of the pictures that they'll do different smart board activities where they're engaged in the learning. They also have different games and applications that we have that are academic. So they have a good balance of both technology weaved in, but also a play-based approach.
Right, thank you. And I do want to point out, I did miss this on this slide, but we do have laptops now that were given to our students. And so as Ms. Kamei said, each of our students does have one specifically checked out to them. Anytime a student enters CME Unified, they are given a Google Apps for Education account. So they do have access to that Google suite for education. So that's Google Drive, Google Slides, and Google Classroom. And that can be utilized as one of the ways that your child's teacher may communicate with you and communicate any of their progress, as well as emails and other forms of communication. Great, we are going to move into enrollment and the various options that you have here in Simi Valley Schools. This will be posted on our website. As Ms. Finch said, we will be posting this for your reference. There also is a website, our kindergarten programs, which houses this information, as well as the School of Choice website that houses the link to access that School of Choice information. The Office of Elementary Education is always here to help you as well. So you are able to call the district office for us to help you answer any questions that you may have. Prior to making enrollment decisions, as I said before, we encourage you to research all the options that you are available for your kindergarten student here in Simi Valley Schools. We try to give you the resources and the support to make the most informed decision. A good starting point is our Simi Valley Guide to Schools. It contains general information about each of the schools as well as a brief description. And then from there, you are able to explore even further with each individual school website. You can go on that website to look at their schedules, their programs. As I said, the bell schedules would be on there. Each of our elementary schools has a different start time, typically between 8 and 8:30. That then does have a different release time as well. But all of that specific information can be found on the school website. On the school websites also will be some other resources. Some of them have School of Choice presentations, campus tours, additional information that you can find on the website that would also inform you about that school. Each of our elementary schools do offer tours in the month of February. So starting in February on Tuesdays at 9 a.m., you can go to an elementary site. You do not need to RSVP ahead of time, but you can always call that school site to find out any additional information. But each of our school sites in February on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. will host tours for any interested families. If that time does not work for you, we encourage you to call the school. They do usually have some other time set up or can work with you on providing you more information. As well, each school will host an individual parent night. This parent night is to provide you with information about their school. Again, if you go on a tour, much of that information is in that tour as well. But if those times don't work for you, this parent information night is a wonderful opportunity for you to hear about the school and as well to ask questions. Those parent information nights are also posted on our website. We have an advertisement that has been running with all of those dates as well. And so you have the opportunity to attend as many of those as you would like. This helps you to make an informed decision on whether your neighborhood school or a school that you've chosen through School of Choice is the best fit for your child. So our neighborhood schools is the school that is within your boundaries. Now our boundary map is on our CME Unified website, and that shows you basically where that cutoff would be. Sometimes you live right next to it, it's easy to see. Sometimes you live a little further, and so you might be in the middle of two schools. So visiting our boundary map on our website will help you determine which is your neighborhood school. Your neighborhood school is automatically there for you to enroll. If you are enrolling at your neighborhood school starting on March 1st, you can go and drop off your packet or go and ask questions. The packets are found online for you to access. You're also able to go to the school and pick up a packet while you are there. It helps to ask questions and give you any additional information. There is no deadline to enroll at your home school, but it does, for our staffing and class purposes, help if you have enrolled by May. CME is an open enrollment district, and so it does allow families to apply for open seats at almost any of our schools. There are 2 exceptions, which we will talk about shortly. You may apply up to 3 schools on the school of choice application. As you complete the application, it will ask you to prioritize them. What is your school of choice number 1, number 2, and number 3? The exceptions to this school of choice application, as you can see, are to apply to our 2 fundamental schools, which we will talk about shortly. The link is found on our website for you to apply for your school of choice application. Please note, as I said previously, the order does matter when you are selecting your school of choice. So you are able to select up to 3, but we do want to know your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice. Please make sure, as I said, it is not a first come, first serve. So we encourage you to the tours, we encourage you to the parent nights so that you can make the most informed decision for yourself. When we do place for school of choice, that is a random lottery selection, not first come, first serve. For example, if you have a school of students where the first choice is 2nd grade at Parkview, Parkview will take that list and conduct a lottery to determine the wait list order. Depending on how many spaces they have in 2nd grade, they will begin calling in the order of the wait list. Please note that all of this is dependent on the availability in that grade level based on class size and facilities and spacing. Once you are called and offered a spot in the school of choice process, you have 5 days to pick up you have a 5-day deadline to pick up the packet and return it with all of the needed documentation. If the 5-day window expires, then we do move on to the next person on the wait list. But again, we will call and communicate with you, and you have 5 days whether to accept that spot. Our school of choice application does have a deadline. All school of choice applications must be submitted online by February 28th at 4 p.m. Again, it is dependent on the availability of spots at each grade level in school. You will then hear from the schools at a variety of timelines. And the reason being, it does decide on the availability. So at the time, beginning for some schools in March, you will advise people of their admission, but it could be all the way up until early August before school starts. If families were to move over the summer, or if there was to become space available, we will fill those spaces. So while we might start in March, it can continue all the way until early August. There were 2 schools that are not part of this school of choice application, and those are our fundamental schools. Our 2 fundamental schools do not participate in the kindergarten school of choice application. Instead, they have a kindergarten lottery process in order to be eligible to enroll. To start with, to let you know about our fundamental schools, they are unique because families choose to enroll their students on these campuses based on the school's area of focus, programs, and expectations as established at each of the fundamental schools. Parents have a collective commitment to be involved and support the programming and activities on a regular basis. Whereas a neighborhood school brings together the small community with the proximity to the school site, the fundamental schools create this community by common focus on the programs and expectations set forth at each school. Both fundamental schools teach the same California state standards as our other elementary schools and use the same classroom materials designated by Simi Valley Unified School District for all elementary schools. The kindergarten lotteries occur the kindergarten applications for the lotteries occur February 1st through 9th. These do need to be picked up at the school site. You are able to pick up applications and then come back to return them. However, you are only able to apply for 1 lottery. So if you enter the lottery at Hollow Hills, you are not able to enter the lottery at Vista or vice versa. Your application does have to be turned in by February 9th. The lottery drawing will be held on February 10th at both Vista and Hollow Hills. The week of February 13th, families will be notified of the availability and spacing at those schools. If you are not confirmed to enroll through the lottery, you still have an opportunity to participate in the school of choice application. This is why the fundamental schools complete their process prior to the end of February. To complete a kindergarten enrollment, there are some required documentation. Listed here are the 4 that are required for your student to start. We do need a clear copy of the birth certificate, a copy of proof of residency. This needs to be a utility bill, lease agreement, or a mortgage deed. If you do not have a utility bill with your name, you can bring a bill with someone else's name and a note acknowledging that you are residing at this residence. We also need current immunization records. We understand that not all immunizations may be completed, but we do need the current immunizations in order to start the initial enrollment process. A health examination will also be required. However, this health examination has to be no earlier than 6 months before the start of kindergarten. Our first day of school next year is Thursday, August 10th, which would mean we would need the physical examination to be after February 10th in order to meet that 6-month guideline. These are the immunizations that are required for any of our incoming students. Now, if your child was enrolled in a UTK program already, these were the same requirements of immunizations. If a student is coming into kindergarten in our CME schools for the first time, these are the required immunizations. We do need these before the first day of school so that the child is not excluded from the first day of school. If you have an appointment over the summer, if your child turns 5 over the summer and that's their checkup and that's when they're going to get their immunizations, then you would take the documentation to the school site when they open from summer, usually the end of July, beginning of August. There is also an oral health assessment form to be completed by your dentist. As it says, this assessment can be done up to 1 year before the start of kindergarten or by May 31st of the kindergarten year. The documentation for the oral health assessment as well as the physical examination will be in the kindergarten enrollment packet. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Ms. Finch, who's going to share some additional information about our schools.
Thank you. All right. All of our elementary schools have before and after school care. Do they all have before school care? No, but they absolutely all have after school care. These programs are not run by the school district. The programs are run by one of 3 organizations, depending on the school. The first one is the YMCA. The second one is Rancho Simi Recreation and Parks. That would be the park district. And the third one is the Boys and Girls Club of Moore Park and Simi Valley. Some of the schools have a very specialized program under those organizations, and they can give you more information about them if you are curious. I don't have it on here, but I also wanted to mention that all of our schools, elementary schools, offer free breakfast and free lunch. So you can bring your kids a little bit early if they want to have something to eat before they go to class. That is totally okay. And of course, lunches also are free. There are also other organizations that provide after school care, but they do it at their sites. So there may be a bus situation, somebody that comes and picks them up. So you really have to kind of look and see what the options are. And while we are supporting these, they are fee-based and the fees are decided by the organizations. So again, if you're going to have questions about it, you want to reach out to one of those 3 to get specific. And this is right now a list of who's at what site. It is possible that these might change, but generally there's not too much movement at this point. And then next slide. Okay, safety. If you're like me, you're concerned about your kids on campus and what's happening there. So I want to let you know that each of our elementary schools is a closed campus. That means that The visitors do not have open access to the campus. They have to go through the offices at each of the schools. They have to sign in. And new this year, it's almost launched at all of our schools at this point, is the Raptor Visitor Management System. This is software that we have installed at each of the schools that requires visitors who are going past the front office. So let's say you're volunteering in a classroom, dropping something off at a teacher request, anything like that. You have to check in at the front office and they need to run a formal official identification through a screening system, which will pop up if there are any problems with the visitor who is trying to access the campus. And we have process in place for how to handle that. But what it does is it gives us one more layer of security about who has access to your children while they're under our care. Our schools also have been outfitted with cameras, and they're not in the classrooms, but they are around the campus, and they are running, and we have a very good relationship with the Simi Valley Police Department. They support us completely. So things that happen get taken care of very quickly. Each of the schools, as Mrs. Taggart said earlier, will be having orientations and back to school nights once school starts, and they're going to be loading you with lots of information at those events. So don't worry, we try to cover everything. We don't want to drown you, but there is a lot of information to have. And your best source for all of these details are generally the schools' websites. They each have their own website, and then the district website has a lot of that more unified information that you would be looking for.
All right.
Next slide.
Yep. Sorry, lost my cursor. There we go.
And something that I wanted to explain, back in 2016, the wonderful voters of Simi Valley agreed to gift us with the Measure X bond. It's a $239 million general fund bond, which allows us to update, in part, it went to security, but it's also going into major classroom renovations, new furniture and such. At this point in the schedule, we have only 8 elementary schools that are still on the sheet to get their furniture. We knock off a couple each year because as you can imagine, it's a very intense process and it's hard to do when the kids are there. So we're limited to vacations and holidays. But 10 of our schools have had their renovations and they have flexible furniture. Can you go to the next slide? So we know that kids are wiggly and squirmy. And we have found that the teachers, as they welcome in different furniture styles to their classroom, it allows the kids to get the wiggles out. It helps them to learn better and focus better. Each classroom has the furniture that the teacher has decided on, but we work with the teachers to make sure that they get stuff that will be appropriate for their rooms. And we're really proud of what happens in our classrooms. They're bright, they're fun. We want our kids to want to come to school. And that's a big part of what this is all about. So if you were involved in approving that bond for us, thank you. We're using it really well.
And more pictures.
Yeah, more pictures. The wiggly, again, they can be on the floors. They've got tabletops where they can write. They're eraser boards, and that really helps the teachers sometimes to be very direct with the kids, to work with them on problem solving. Next one. Yep. All right. And last thing, as we keep saying, we have a website that's rich with lots of details. So our website, simivalleyusd.org, has a kindergarten section and it has a school of choice enrollment section. And both of those you'll probably be turning to a lot. We will be updating it tomorrow with all of the enrollment information that you need and also the Zoom video of this presentation. So thank you.
All right. I'm going to add to that because we were talking about just the facilities. There was a question about upgrades. We are constantly looking at our sites and looking at ways to improve and to update. So yes, those are always conversations that we have. Obviously, we can't do them all at once. And so we do roll out across the city, as Ms. Finch was saying, is like we did with the furniture as well. So that is something that is always talked about and considered as well. One of the things I do want to clarify, if your child is currently in UTK, in one of our 24 classrooms, you do not need to resubmit the immunizations. The health assessment will have to be, or the health evaluation will have to be submitted because that could not be conducted. It was too soon. So you will have the health examination. You also may need to submit the oral health, depending on if you already have or if it was a waiver. Each of those is a unique situation, so you can talk to your school site about that. For those students at our UTK classrooms, you will be communicating with your school site whether you intend to remain there, because we placed because we worked to try to place our UTK families with siblings and homeschools as a priority. Many of our children are already at the school that they would wish to attend the following year. We weren't able to 100% guarantee that due to class size restrictions and facilities, but that was our goal and our priority. So if you are going to remain at your school site for kindergarten, you do not need to fill out that school of choice form. That will be a conversation you'll have with the school you are attending for UTK. If you are choosing to go back to your home school, then you will just take out your application and you will go to that homeschool. You also are welcome to apply during that school of choice process for a different school. But again, if you are currently in one of our CME schools, universal transition programs, you do not need to resubmit the birth certificate or the immunizations. We do have that on file. Okay. All right. At this time, we'll go through and try to answer if we see any questions come through.
Okay, I had a couple of questions early on that I held. So I'm going to go attack those first. Okay. Who is supervising the other students while the students are at their centers? So we have generally one teacher. They're asking what the process is to keep an eye on everybody.
That's a very good question. So the way that the classrooms are designed, the centers usually will rotate. So you might have a book center where kids are over in the classroom library reading books. You might have a center that's building. So students are doing blocks or Legos, and then there might be a writing center or a reading center. The teacher will generally be at one of them that she would be doing direct instruction with those students. And then she's managing and watching the rest of the classes. They're working in small groups. We also love parent volunteers. So we encourage our parents, if you are able and want to help in the classroom. A lot of times parents will also support and help during centers. But the kids do learn very quickly how to work cooperatively with one another, and they become independent workers within that small group. And so it's really great to see, and kindergarten is one of my favorite grades that I taught because you see the growth so quickly in our students, and they become very independent very quickly. So a teacher can be managing one small group while she's still overlooking the classroom, and students are very successful in those small groups. But we do love parent volunteers to help during our center time as well.
Thank you. I see a few come in through. I just want to clarify. There was quite a few about the ratio. In each of our classrooms does, depending on space and availability, we try to keep our kindergarten around 24. There will be somewhere it's less, there will be somewhere it's more, just based on the availability and the spacing. But it is around 24 students to one teacher.
Somebody's asking if we have a budget for more campus supervisors or teachers, especially during drop-off. Would somebody like to take that one, please?
We always analyze our allocations and look at the needs of the school. Those are conversations that we have with the school sites. As we've increased the breakfast program, we've increased some of that supervision. So it just does depend on the school site and their needs, whether, what that looks like for drop-off, what that looks like for the playgrounds. All of those are considerations when we're looking at the allotment.
Okay. If you accept school of choice, can you switch back to your neighborhood school over the summer if you change your mind, especially if both kids don't get accepted to the same site?
So your neighborhood school is there for you. I want to reference a few things on that. Our school of choice is used for planning and staffing purposes. So we do ask that outside of unique or emergency situations that you remain at the school that you have selected. There was also a question about if you were selected for your second school and then 2 months later, you were selected for the first. When you accept at a school, whether it be your first, second, or third, you are removed from the other school of choice lists. So if you were to accept at your second priority, you would be removed from the list for your first and third.
Are parents allowed to go in for drop-off like TK?
Currently, I can't speak to next year, but currently this year, we allowed parents to come onto campus to show students where their classroom was, where they would be picked up on that first day of school. And then at that time, the second day, we switched to a drop-off at the gate. Many of our kindergartens can be seen from gates, and many choose to also watch or see where they are. Those specifics at each school site would be covered during the orientation or during the back to school night. So each school is unique in its makeup as far as where the kindergarten yards are, what the drop off and pickup looks like. So those would be topics that would be covered at our orientations and our back to school nights.
This question is for school of choice, and I've had different versions of this throughout the evening. Is there a priority for new families to be accepted to the same school of choice when you've got 2 grades? So let's say you've got one child that's going into kinder and one child that's going into third, and they're doing school of choice for both. What happens with that process?
We do look at siblings as one of our priorities. However, if you're applying at the same year, we cannot guarantee availability in both grades. You may have a third grade where there are 5 openings, but your sibling is a second grader and we have no openings. So while we do try to make it easy on families and help with that sibling, we can't always guarantee it for school of choice because of the availability. At your home school, again, you would be able to enroll both of your children, but in that school of choice process, because it is based on the availability, then you would not be able to do that. I did see a couple siblings for the fundamental schools, so I just want to answer that. Right now in January is sibling enrollment at Vista and Hollow Hills. What that means is that you have a student who is currently attending Vista and or Hollow Hills, or has attended in the past, and your child is still enrolled at a middle or high school within our CME schools. I saw some questions about that sibling priority. If your child is in kindergarten or does get in the lottery in kindergarten, any younger siblings would be considered sibling enrollment for the fundamental schools. So if you had a kindergartner who was accepted at Hollow Hills, and then you have a TK student, your TK student would become sibling priority. It does not apply for older students as those wait lists are maintained.
Okay. Do we still need to submit proof of residency if you are already in the UTK program?
We are going to ask that you submit the proof of residency because we do know families move. And so we do need that to be accurate, up-to-date information. The fundamental schools, it is a requirement that you live in Simi Valley. So that's another reason we ask for proof of residency there. But you will be asked for proof of residency because our addresses do have to be maintained and up-to-date. So we do want to make sure that that is still your address.
Mrs. Taggart, I'm going to read this one out because it's really about junior kindergarten ages. So okay. My son's birthday is August 30th, 2018. Just double checking that even though he will still be 4 years old when kindergarten starts, he cannot do UTK and only qualifies for kindergarten.
So I'm going to give you the answer, but I am also going to refer you to the website because the dates there's lots of dates. So as we stated, I'm going to work backwards. So starting in kindergarten, they do have to be 5 on or before September 1st. So they have to turn 5 on or before September 1st to participate in kindergarten. Those students that turn 5 on or after September 2nd, they can participate in our Universal Transition Kindergarten program all the way around until they turn 5 next September. So we have opened up that window for our UTK program for a year. Now we do have a junior kindergarten. Junior kindergarten is students that are age eligible for kinder, but the families have made a choice to not send them to kinder. So that's July 1st to September 1st. So for this particular case, your child does fall in that window of junior kindergarten. The only requirement is that they have not participated in a universal TK program previously. Our TK program is a 2-year program. So the first is UTK, the second is kindergarten. We will not retain or repeat TK and make it a 3-year program. So for your child on August 30th, if they have not previously participated in a TK program, they are welcome to join our UTK program, or you can make the choice to send them to kindergarten. So that becomes a choice for you. You are always welcome to call our offices of elementary ed, and we're happy to provide more information for that.
Thank you. This question is about DLI. I saw there was a survey for DLI, which is dual language immersion, where they teach English and Spanish. Would that be for the 23-24 school year? And do we know what elementary school that would be provided to if that is the case?
We did send out a survey. Our interest in the survey was to get our families and our community's interest in the program. So based on the survey, we'll provide more information. At this time, we're gathering the information, about what a DLI school would look like and require, the different programs that are part of it, and looking at all of that information to help us make the best informed decision.
If I could just jump in for one moment, if there were to be a DLI program, it would not be for next school year.
Oh, thank you. I forgot she said the year. Thank you for clarifying.
Heather's getting this. I was just going to answer very quickly so that everyone else would hear. To confirm lottery for fundamental, you can only do one lottery and not do both Hollow Hills and Vista. And that is correct. You need to pick between one or the other.
And the lists are compared to make sure.
If you're accepted to school of choice for kinder, does the student need to submit a new app every year? No. Once you're in when you're talking about kindergarten. Let's see. Because this parent probably wasn't with us on Tuesday, the question is, what's the difference between JK and kinder, or TK and kinder?
So we have this wonderful opportunity to expand last year to offer our what became Universal Transitional Kindergarten, and basically for a full year for any of our students that basically were turning 4 before September 1st, it was offered. And this is a very play-based approach. Within our TK program, students are developing the foundational skills for school. And that does not just mean their academic skills. Really, it's focused and centered on developing the skills to make them lifelong learners. They are learning about peers. They are learning how it looks in a classroom. They are learning about routines and procedures. They are, of course, have this wonderful introduction to all the foundations of our academics, such as the colors or their name, letters. But again, it's through a very play-based approach. It limits the amount of worksheets or paper to pencil tasks. They still occur, but it is definitely a focus on that role playing and that creative play, focusing on building, focusing on fine motor and gross motor. So we do have that aspect built into our whole UTK program. We did have 2 of our elementary principals, as well as 2 UTK teachers at our presentation on Tuesday. So I do encourage you to watch the video that was from our Tuesday parent night to provide you with even more information. You are always welcome to call and ask questions, or even to talk to the school site that would be nearest to you.
I'm going to take this question. Somebody has asked if some of the schools have more active PTAs than others. All of our elementary schools, I believe, do have PTAs. The structure of a PTA is the schools participate in PTA, and then there's a Simi Valley PTA Council that all the PTAs are part of. And yes, some schools are more active than others, and some years they're more active than other years. It all depends on the parent volunteers that take their time to participate. You don't have to be, working a stay-at-home mom to participate in PTA. They have lots of different activities that happen after hours or that you can help with at home if you want to. So you can be involved in your school's PTAs. If you decide that you have a school that you're at is not very active, then I would urge you to maybe change that and get involved with the PTA. Your principal will love you for it. Your other parents will love you, and you may get a lot more support because somebody has picked it up and has run with it. But the PTAs are vitally important to our schools. They provide a lot of different resources. They provide a lot of volunteer labor that we need. So please look into your PTAs, definitely. Okay. How is, I'm going to hold this question about the restraining order, Maria, I'm going to answer you personally because I don't want to put it up on here. There's a follow-up question about dual language. If DLI is not offered in 23-24, does that mean DLI cannot ever be offered to students in the future since they didn't start in kindergarten? Dr. Block, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. If there is a decision to begin a DLI program, it would be available we would decide which grade level to start it with. So it could be a combination of TKK first grade that we would start it in. Those are all issues that we would take into consideration. But we are deliberating on it. We are doing our homework research. So, hopefully in the future, we will be able to offer a program.
We actually look like we're towards the end of our questions. We do have a couple more minutes if anybody wants to throw a question or two up in the Q&A section. Okay. Well, nobody is saying anything. So there you go, Mrs. Taggart.
I'm going to put, I do have the flyer with the information nights that I can put up. Let's see, we do have it on our website. Again, we do encourage you to tour the school. We do encourage you to attend the parent information nights. Some of that information, as I said, will be the same. So it is not that you need to attend all of the events. You will hear some of the same information. We try to provide multiple opportunities for families to attend. Again, I would also check school websites. There are presentations or information on their website as well. But again, please visit those schools and please look at all the different options you have because we have wonderful schools in Simi. And so we want to see that and make the best decision for you. Again, the enrollment is on our website. This presentation will also be posted on the website, so you will be able to refer back to it as well.
We have one quick question about if schools will be adding classrooms after the increase in TK students this year. We add classrooms according to how many kids we have, but we also place children in order to spread that out as well after taking into consideration siblings and neighborhood schools and things like that.
And I'll clarify the last one. The tours are Tuesdays at 9 a.m. At our elementary schools. The parent information nights are various nights though. They are I'm looking at the list, Mondays, Thursday, a lot of Thursdays, a couple Wednesdays. So that will be based on the school site. But the tours are always 9 a.m. on Tuesdays. The fundamental lottery, you do need to go to the school to pick it up starting on February 1st.
Mrs. Taggart, do you have the means to maybe switch over to our website for a second and we can show them where the things are? Those who'd like to see it. Okay, so that great, big, beautiful picture of those smiling kids, if you actually click on that picture, you're going to get taken to a 2-page PDF of all the parent information nights that we have scheduled for the next month and a half. So that's a really good resource. Elementary is on one page, middle and high schools are on the next one. And if you go back to the home page and scroll down a little bit till we get to the buttons. That first button says kindergarten program information. That's probably where you're going to be living for most of the next few days as you try to figure all this out. So there's a lot of information. I'm going to update it again tomorrow. You're going to have today's Zoom on there. TK is already on there. There will be, you can access the boundary maps to figure out what your neighborhood school is. You can go in there and get information on how TK works and the differences. There are links to the before and after school care. There are links to many different things. So I encourage you to go on there and mess around and get the information you need. If you get stuck, there is a name and phone number on that page for Ana Maria Portillo, who is Mrs. Taggart's assistant. And she is your first phone call if you can't clarify something from the website. But any of us will take the calls if we need to answer some questions for you. So we're here at the district office for you. That's what we're here to do, is serve you.
All right, we'll look at that boundary map. Thank you. All right. Well, I want to thank you again. We are so glad that we are able to offer information. Again, we are very proud of our schools and know that our staff and our school sites are just wonderful places, especially for our youngest learners. Again, the TK program that was on Tuesday will be posted on the website, as well as tonight's presentation, and you are welcome to call with any other questions. I want to make sure I thank our interpreters. I know I talk fast, and so they are always there running the race to talk with us, as well as our principals and Dr. Block. Thank you, and Ms. Finch for facilitating and helping answer questions as we go. So thank you. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.